John, I'm curious if there's anything that you can share from kind of being maybe in the Detroit area, or just anything you've kind of heard or your thoughts about this.
No,
And
I haven't heard anything
different.
I haven't heard anything different than I'm sure you guys have heard. It's a disaster. The whole Ultium program is a disaster. If you go back 2 years ago, I thought, wow, GM, they've got their act together, clean sheet design, totally new from the ground up. I thought by this time they would be leading the charge amongst the legacies. I mean, they're barely a step ahead of Volkswagen and Cariad in this regard.
Right.
And it's got to be hugely embarrassing. And it comes down to, as you guys know, it's a 110-year-old company. They have 110 years worth of policies and procedures that are not stupid. They're there because they got burned in the past for something and they patched it with a policy or a procedure to make sure that didn't happen again, especially when it comes to safety systems. And so you've got that ingrained in them. And, this is why we'll see if Doug Field at Ford can pull it off. But I think it was smart of Farley to go, hey, guess what? We're not going with any legacy person to run all our electric and software stuff. We're going to the Valley. Somebody who's been at Tesla, somebody who's been at Apple, somebody who started at Segway. And that's what it takes. You need a startup or a Valley mentality to do this. I don't care how good you are as a legacy executive. You can't run it. You just can't do it. You're not, it's like trying to argue that the train companies should have recognized that they were transportation companies. And if they had done that, they could have competed in the automotive industry. And it's like, no, they were great train companies. They were never going to make that transition. Yeah. And so you're never going to have a legacy automaker successfully transform itself into a software company, which is essentially what Tesla is.
Yeah. No, I think you just said it very well. Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm just curious your thoughts on so Farley came out and divided the company into Model E and Blue, right? But it's fundamentally it's still Ford, right? Like and I would be curious in your thoughts. Something I've been thinking about a lot lately is, everybody bitches and complains about, okay, they're going to lose $3 billion a year in EVs and stuff like that. Well, as you said, I mean, Tesla lost billions and billions of dollars for years. Lucid is going to lose billions and billions of dollars. Rivian is going to lose billions and billions of dollars a year until they get the volume up to, as you said, it's hundreds of thousands a year. And then all that investment of billions in factories and people and getting the thing going, they're going to break even and make a profit. Like, should have Ford actually created Model E as a true separate entity, as a startup, and gone to the capital markets, gone public, raised capital, and bring some people over, but fundamentally creating a new company and go to town.
Loren, I thought that he might do that. And there's two other things that you're probably not even thinking of that would give them a massive advantage of that. If you organized Ford Model E as this standalone electric company, I think legally you could get around dealer franchise laws.
Yep.
Right.
And number two, I think you could say goodbye to the UAW and make sure that you set up in an area that is anti-union. I'll bet they talked about that. I'll bet they talked about that in depth and just couldn't pull the trigger.
Couldn't do it.
It seemed more like the way they publicly positioned it was exactly what you're talking about, that it's going to be a separate company. But in reality, it's like Google becoming Alphabet. It was really more for Wall Street and tax benefits.
Yeah, it was really like for the CFO to just report two different lines of...
Right. And the instant, it's funny you say all this.
But otherwise, everything's the same.
Yeah, because I haven't really thought about it much until the news recently when they were talking about like, oh, we're going to do hybrids again. It's like, so is that Ford E or Ford Blue, or is there going to be now Ford Hybrid? Or like, where does this...
Ford Gray.
It really is becoming... Yeah, exactly.
Ford Gray.
Ford Gray, yeah.